treatment in the school, if they transcribe that IEP, you're entitled to that record if you are a parent or guardian of that student. If you're not, it's FERPA, you're right, you can't get it. But if you are, you're entitled to it. There's a question right here.
Where do the documents have to exist? Do they have to exist on the government agency's database or server, or does the request extend to personal computers or personal items, cell phone, whatever else you might?
Well, let's cover that. So that's a fair question. In our office's view, we'd like you to think about it like this. If it is a government-owned piece of equipment, everything that's on that is open. You've got a laptop, say, that an official is using, and that laptop is paid for by their government they work for. Everything that's on that laptop, except for computer programs, is open. Everything. Now, there may be exceptions. There may be some stuff that would be in litigation if they're an attorney, or maybe you've got social security numbers, stuff like that can be taken out. But if it's on a government-provided piece of equipment, open. Little Johnny's dental appointment that's in an email is open if they wrote it on the laptop. It's okay. Still, it's just open. Does not make it bad, just open. What if you write it on a privately owned piece of equipment? In our view, that is open if it relates to governmental business. So, officials are not allowed to take their, say, smartphones and start texting their other officials about business and say it's closed because I used my own smartphone. You conducted business, that was public business, it's open. You need to provide it, which generally means you need to provide a copy of that. We don't expect the phone to be produced. We expect the message to be transmitted. Way in the back. I'm sorry. Just a moment, sir. Just a moment. We've got one closer.
Do you need to know exactly what documents you're requesting, or can you ask for a list of relevant documents from the meeting?
Well, when you ask for documents, your document request should specifically say what documents you seek. You really don't have the right to say, could you give me a list of certain documents that relate to this, because that's asking for the government to create a record for you. They don't have to create a record for you. They only have to produce the documents that exist. A lot of times, though, when you have a very complex set of requests, as a citizen, it's very helpful to work with your government officials. I recognize a lot of people have distrust. You still need to work with your government officials. You're going to save yourself some time and energy if you work with them. You can ask for documents that will help you work for them. You think it's on the computer. Could you give me a copy of the databases that you keep in this area? They will probably have a list of those databases. Okay? But they don't have to create a document for you. Same thing's true for government officials. For the few government officials that are in here, it's very helpful for you to work with the citizens. You get a request that's way overbroad, it happens every day. The way to respond is not to write a letter that is too hard to decipher and really doesn't help anybody. It's better to pick up the phone if you have their phone number and say, hey, you asked for this, but that, A, isn't something we really keep, and B, it's going to cost you an arm and a leg if we really have to produce this. Aren't you really seeking this? And they say, oh yeah, that's all I really want. Okay, then put that in writing and send them what they really want, and everybody can be happy. It doesn't have to be hard. It does require working together a bit. It really does. Okay, question way in the back.
Yes, sir. I was just trying to find out, do personal written records, let's say you're taking notes in the meeting, you're meeting with the council, are those part of the documents that could be requested?
If you're a government official, say you're on a city council, and you're making notes during that meeting like crazy, and a citizen says, I want the notes by such and such official, you're entitled to them.
Thank you.
Okay, there's a question up front. I'm trying to move this. It's all right.
So what if you've been given, you put forth an open records request?
Yes.
You've received documents, but it is not all, and you know what you're looking for, and you know what it should entail and what should be there, and it's not all there. What's the recourse of getting it all when you go back to that board or agency and say, that's not everything, they keep pushing back, you know what you're looking for, and it's not there? What's our recourse at that point as a citizen?
Okay, well, let's go through this. First of all, and the question, of course, is, they produce some documents to you, and you know there's got to be some documents out there they haven't produced. First thing you need to do is go back and look at your request. I would make a new request to them to start with about the specific documents that are missing. So there's no question that you're seeking those documents. Now, they have a couple options. One is to say, we already produced those. If you say, no, you didn't, I think you're entitled to at least one bite at the apple where they produce them to you again. If that doesn't happen, okay, they may say those documents do not exist. Those documents do not exist. Don't come to my office and say they just said the documents do not exist, because I can't do anything about that. If they do not exist, they do not exist whether they're supposed to have them or not. Which means that, as far as open records goes, you're at a dead end. But there is a state law that requires records to be retained. Different records, depending on what the substance of those records has in them, affects what's supposed to be retained. So we're supposed to keep that record. And there may be avenues for dealing with that through the Secretary of State's office, through other stuff. Our office can't do anything about that. If they didn't retain it, they don't got it, we're at an end with our office because we can't fix that. And by the way, if you say, you got it, and they say, no, we don't, we can't say, okay, well, you're supposed to give it to them anyway. We got nothing at that point. That's the end of the day.